Hi, I'm Leslie with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. And I also want to introduce you to Estefanita Rawlings. I call her Steffi Rawlings, who is going to be presenting today's webinar. This is a great overview of cybersecurity, a guide for your small business, because I think that's what we need. Is sometimes we need the basics, figure out how we can protect our business. So I'm excited for today's webinar. Just wanted to let you know, type your questions into the Q&A. Steffi will be picking up the questions and seeing if we can get everyone's questions answered. So with all that being said, I'll turn it over to Steffi Rawlings.
Hi, I want to thank New Mexico Small Business Development Center for putting on these webinars. Also let you know that the New Mexico Small Business Development Center has lots of COVID-19 business resources. You will be getting the slide deck. So all these slides will be on it. Good morning. My name is Estefanita Rawlings, and I'm the director of the New Mexico Technology Commercialization Accelerator. Some preliminary information before we go forward. Please mute your audio and make sure you set your Zoom ratio to fit your window. And then, as Leslie said, we will be using the Q&A function to take questions. So write down your question. Also, the New Mexico Small Business Development Center has lots of trainings and counseling assistance. So if you go to www.nmsbdc.org on the workshop and events, you can find events as you found this one because you registered. So thank you for registering. And then also for counseling, just go to New Mexico Small Business Development Center.org. Before I go into this, I want to give a little plug about my office, the Technology Commercialization Accelerator. It is an office in Socorro, New Mexico. Well, I am a virtual office right now, but you can find me on the New Mexico Small Business Development Center.org webpage. And the focus of my office is to help clients, New Mexico residents, with their intellectual property. So that includes patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. So we can help you move forward with your idea. So welcome to cybersecurity, an introduction to protecting your business. We'll go over what it is. And let's see, that's a little too soon. Okay, today I want to talk to you about cyber awareness. You know, in the news, we continue to hear about ransomware, data breaches, the dark web, and other events that are happening to businesses, elders, and computers. Sometimes you get up in the morning and you don't even want to start your computer because you know somebody is out there to get you. The other topic that you are hearing a lot about is in the form of cyber hygiene, cyber awareness, and protecting your data and information on your computers or on any electronic device. We are hearing on the news and on social media that you should be aware that someone is trying to get your personal information. They will get your data and sell it to someone on the dark web, or they will try to get money out of you via phishing or ransomware. My goal today is to expose and educate you on cybersecurity and what you can do to protect your data, which could include customer information, supplier information, banking information, or other important information, including the computer itself. Today, we will go over some terminology, and then we will talk about some organizations, federal organizations, that have set up security standards to help protect your data, your privacy, your devices, and businesses from criminals that want to hack your system. Then I'll talk about some best practices that can you can put in place to help you keep your company, employees, and customers' data safe while you're doing business with you. And then I will provide some resources. Right now, my resource page is not completely filled out, but I will send you, you will get the full deck, and I will send you updated resources. And then we will have a question and answer session. Oh, backwards, sorry. First, we will go through some terminology, which I think is helpful to get us educated. Okay, so cyber is one of our big words here, and it is relating to or involving computers or computer networks. And so it's any device that is used to access the internet. And then cybersecurity is the protection of computer systems and networks from unauthorized users. And a cyber attack is when an unauthorized user tries or gets access to your computer or computer network in order to steal your data or to damage your software, hardware, or to disrupt the services that you provide. And phishing. Phishing is an email method used to attempt to obtain your credentials so that they can get into your computer system. You have heard so much about phishing, and phishing is the number one way a hacker can compromise your system. So you probably have heard the word ransomware. And ransomware is software that gets access to your system, and it may encrypt your data, lock you out of your device and or systems, and demand a ransom to be paid. Upon payment, a key will be provided back to you to allow you to obtain access to your system. And you don't know what's still left on your system afterwards. So, and a virus is unauthorized software running on your system with the intent to break the system or allow hackers to access your system. And the next one is antivirus, and it is a software that identifies viruses running on a system, and either it'll find your virus and it'll either quarantine the virus or uninstall the bad software. Then we have malware, which is a type of malicious software that is designed to cause harm to computers, servers, and or devices. It's like a virus. And then a data breach is when your data is stolen and either sold to the dark web or published on the hacker's website. And here's the big one, hacked. It is when you have notification that someone has your data or that they're requesting money to release your system. Sometimes you don't even know you're hacked. So some of the terms we mentioned have to do with data, computer systems, and networks, and what happens when cybersecurity best practices are not in place. We all have been attending webinars and reading information regarding cybersecurity awareness. And this is what you keep hearing about. You keep your software up to date. Run up-to-date antivirus software. Use strong passwords. Change default usernames and passwords. Implement multi-factor authentication. Install a firewall. Be suspicious of unexpected emails for phishing. This is all good. But what I want to expose you to today is that there are several federal agencies out there that have set up tools, to help businesses get started on privacy and security processes to help keep your computer system secure and your data private. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, it's also known as the NIST, and the NIST is a government agency that has been tasked to create cybersecurity standards, guidelines, and best practices for the U.S. industry, federal agency, private, and public businesses. So I know that some of us are small business owners, and you can either gear up or gear down. But this is for any business that has data, that collects data, or runs their business with computer systems. The NIST's cybersecurity programs seek to enable greater development and application of practical, innovative security technologies and methodologies that enhance the country's ability to address current and future computer and information security challenges. If you go to the website, which is www.nist.gov, the website has a lot of documents called frameworks to follow. So they're plans to follow. And today I will talk about two of the frameworks. The privacy framework, which addresses privacy risks, and the cybersecurity framework, which the cybersecurity framework to manage and reduce cybersecurity risk. So the first framework that I'm going to talk about is called the privacy framework. And it's a voluntary tool that can help your organization create or improve a privacy program. Okay, so the framework is made up of 5 areas, and they include identify, govern, control, protect, and communicate.
Now, Steffi, let me ask you a question real quick. We do have a question that's come in, and I imagine we're going to get more questions. Do you want to go ahead and pick up the questions as they come in, or would you like to wait till after the presentation?
Let's just wait after the presentation.
Okay. Just keep
typing and I'll go, oh my gosh.
Okay, we'll type it, just keep typing them in and we'll pick those questions up.
Okay, so one of the first 5 areas is called identify. So, identify the data that you're processing and map out this flow through your systems throughout the full data life cycle from collection and disposal. So the privacy is going to do with mostly data, what you do with your data, what you have your data. Then you govern. The second area is govern. And on my resource page, I will have so much information on links that you will have to read this and kind of put your plan in place. But let me just go and see the Q&A just because I'm worried about it now. See, before I forget. Oh. OTPs, is that off the, I'm not too sure where OTPs are. Sorry about that. Can you, was that off the, I've heard of OTPs, off the shelf, OTPs. If you can let me know what an OTP is. So maybe I'll just leave my answer questions to the end. And if I can't come up with an answer, I will, Leslie will track all my questions and
yes,
and an email with all the answers.
Yes, we will. And an OTP, oh, and Stephen put it in, is a one-time password.
Oh, a one-time password. I'm not too sure. I know that you should be changing your passwords all the time. So if you keep your one-time password and somebody guesses it, I know that they always recommend that you change your password regularly and that you make them strong and long. So I hope that helps. I don't know so much about the OTPs. I'll just be frank with you. I don't know about them. So, but I do know that everybody recommends that you change your password regularly, make strong and long passwords. So, the next, I hope that helps. Sorry. The next management area is called govern. So know your privacy obligations. Privacy culture starts at the top. Determine which privacy values your organization is focused on. Know your privacy related legal obligations so you can build compliant products and services. Help your workforce know the roles and responsibilities so that they can make better decisions about how to effectively manage privacy risks in the design and deployment of your products and services. And regular reassess your privacy risks to see if anything has changed. And the third one is to control your data that you are collecting. So are you collecting and sharing or keeping data that you don't need? Consider how your policies help you or other organizations maintain control over data and how individuals might have a role as well. The next one is protect. Control. This is what you hear in the all the awarenesses. Protect your stuff, protect. Control who has access to the data. What software are you using to protect your data? And remember here, we're talking about your privacy of your people's information, okay? So protect your data, run regular backups, have policies for disposing your data and your devices. Make sure your backups work and you can restore them, and have a formal policy for disposing your data and devices. So as a business, you're always changing, and maybe you may implement a new product or a new service. So you may have, like if you're manufacturing, you may have new suppliers. So, and then you may have terminated with a supplier. So are you going to keep that data around? Are you going to get rid of it? How long do you have to keep your data? You need to put these policies in place. It's a good idea. And then also for your devices, we're always upgrading our computers, getting new phones. They may have data on them. So if you just leave them on the counter or let somebody else have them without cleansing your data, that's a risk that you have. So you need to put kind of these privacy policies in place. And then you should come up with a communication, like educate your employees on your data processing and activities, and come up with a plan if you have a data breach, and how will you provide notification? How are you going to let your stockholders know about it? How are you going to let the people that their data is breached and is on the web? When you have a data breach, some of the hackers post your data on the website, and or they sell it. So you need to have, so if that happens to you, you should have some kind of plan in place. You get up that Wednesday morning right before July 4th and you're going on vacation, and somebody says all your data is out on the website. What are you going to do? How are you going to let your stockholders know? Put a plan in place. So what you have to do for your privacy, which mostly deals with data, is identify it and own it, govern it, control it, who has access, and protect it, and have a plan in place. So that's what the privacy framework is about. So it's a good idea to decide how you're going to take care of your data, because some of that data is somebody's data. So take care of that. Okay, let me see if I can go forward. Okay. So the next cybersecurity framework, the next framework I'm going to talk about is cybersecurity. So again, you're going to, the main areas that we have here are identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. You see that everybody, it works with your data, it works with your computer systems. Know what you have, protect it. Know if there's put some kind of policies in that can help you detect if your systems have been hacked. And then how are you going to communicate, respond, recover? So this is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. And the first area, again, is what's a key function? And let me give you an overview. So the Cybersecurity Framework, let me go back. Sorry about that. Cybersecurity Framework is a voluntary guidance based on existing standards and guidelines. Some of us work with federal government and we have to follow guidelines. Some of you work with FERPA, HIPAA, so you have standard guidelines that you have to put in place. So it's based on standards, guidelines, and practices to help organizations better manage and reduce cybersecurity risk. It fosters cybersecurity risk management and related communications, both internal and external stakeholders, and for large organizations. The framework is organized by 5 key functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So I will go through those. So you have your identify. Identify critical enterprise processes and assets. Develop an organizational understanding to manage cybersecurity risk to systems, assets, data, and capabilities. So identify critical enterprise processes and assets. Document information flows. Maintain a hardware and software inventory. And this can, your hardware and your software are where the hackers are going to try to get entry into your system. So make sure you have like a spreadsheet of the hardware that you're running, of the software that you're running. Make sure it's updated regularly, especially your security patches. And then establish policies for cybersecurity that include roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities very important. Who has access to your data? Who should be monitoring your information? Don't give the same access to your system for the accountant person and the manufacturing person. Don't give the same access to the receptionist. You need to essablish roles and responsibilities. If you get data hacked, if you get hacked, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Get some help. You know, who's in charge of that? Make sure that is all defined. Okay, and then you need to identify threats, vulnerabilities, and risk to assets. Ensure risk responsibilities are identified and prioritized, executed. So the next function that we're going to talk about is protect. Here we go with the protection again. You will hear it over and over and over again. So Develop and implement the appropriate safeguards to ensure delivery of services. So you want to make sure that your business is up and running all the time. If you get hacked, what's it going to take to get your system up and running? But protect it so you won't get hacked. So manage access to assets and information. Again, who has access to your data? Who has access to the information, the computers, who's logging in? Authenticate users. There's your multi-factor techniques. Protect your sensitive data. If your enterprise stores and transmits sensitive data, make sure that the data is protected by encryption, both while it's at rest and while it's traveling. Sometimes you send information via email, make sure it's encrypted. Don't let people just read it. Securely delete or destroy data when it's no longer needed. Make a plan for that. Conduct your regular backups and test your restores. Make sure they work. If you do a backup, make sure you're not connected to the internet. Turn off your internet and then do the backup off your system. Protect your devices. Antivirus can help you identify viruses and uninstall them and quarantine them, and manage your device vulnerabilities. Regularly update both the operating system and applications that are installed on your computers and other devices to protect them from the attack. And train your users, include them, empower them, train them, and retrain all users to be sure that they're aware of your policies that you put in place and procedures and specific roles. Sometimes you have people working in your office and everybody's on vacation. What happens then? You need to put in policies and procedures in place for your cybersecurity. The next function we have is detect. And develop and implement the appropriate activities to identify the occurrence of a cybersecurity event. And this is really hard for me. So what's your detection process? Well, how do you know, how do you know you've been hacked? Develop and test processes and procedures for detecting unauthorized entities and actions on the networks. You read your logs. Who's reading the logs? Do you have an IT department? Staff should be aware of their roles and responsibilities for detection and related reporting, both within your organization and legal authorities. They're wanting to know who's getting hacked. So they want you to report it if you've been hacked. And let's see, where am I? Detect. Oh, okay. Know the expected data flows of your enterprise. Do you know how your data is supposed to be flowing? Is it coming in from orders, shipment? Follow your data. Who has access to that? And then you can see if something unexpected happens. So you start seeing your data going out via emails or out your network. Your IT person should be involved in that. And I know a lot of us small business don't have all this stuff. So then you might be doing it by yourself or 2 or 3 people. But you should know where your data is stored. You should know when it gets updated, what's updating it. You should know that. You should know if any, I went to a webinar and you might have been there too, but one of the presenters talked about putting in a dummy data, and maybe setting up an email account. And when people started using the data, that email account would have activity. And so you would know that your data got hacked. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. So also you need to maintain and monitor your logs. Logs are crucial in order to identify anomalies in your enterprise computers and applications. These log record events, such as changes to systems or accounts, as well as the initiation of communication channels, consider using software tools that can aggregate these logs and look for patterns of anomalies from expected network behavior. And then you need to understand the impact of a cybersecurity event. If a cybersecurity event is detected, then your enterprise should work quickly and thoroughly to understand what happened, the depth of the impact, seek help, communicate information in the event with your stakeholders, and then improve your policies and procedures. So then now you need to respond, develop and implement the appropriate activities to take action regarding a detected cybersecurity event. Ensure response plans are tested. So you make your plan. What are you going to do if you get hacked? And test them. Make sure each person knows their responsibilities in executing the plan. The better prepared your organization is, the more effective the response is likely to be. Ensure response plans are updated. If you make some adjustments to your systems and your services and your products, don't forget to update your cybersecurity plan. And then coordinate with your internal and external stakeholders. It's important to make sure that your enterprise response plans and updates include all key stakeholders and external service providers. Okay. And then the last point of this cybersecurity framework is called recover. And develop and implement the appropriate activities to maintain plans for resilience and to restore any capabilities or service that are impaired due to a cybersecurity event. Communicate with internal and external stakeholders. Part of recovery depends on effective communication. Your recovery plans need to carefully account for what, how, and when information will be shared with various stakeholders so that all interested parties receive the information that they need, but no inappropriate information is shared. Make sure you have a plan in place before you call your boss and go, oh my gosh, I think we've been hacked, and then they call all the other stakeholders. Practice it, make sure you have a plan in place. But if you get hacked, stay calm, just work through your plan that you have. And ensure recovery plans are updated. And then manage public relations and company reputation. So this and this is the end of the cybersecurity framework. So it consists of identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And you continue to hear that all the time. Protect your data. That's privacy. Protect your privacy information. Have a plan in place. You'll hear me for the rest of the presentation talking about that. Okay, so another federal agency that exists is called the Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency. And again, these agencies put these programs in place, toolkits in place for big businesses, medium businesses, small businesses, agencies. Some may be required for businesses that work with the federal government to follow these procedures, and that you have to have a plan in place. So this is the starting point for you And I'm just trying to give you information that you can start your protection plan. And I'll give you links so you can go and find what works for you. Even if they're talk about the big enterprise databases, you may have databases out there too. They may not be as big, but and you have if you have employees, you have your HR database, you'll have your customer database. You have to have some kind of plan in place. And I know that all of you are looking for some kind of information because you're attending this webinar and you attended the last two that we had. So when you get the deck, you will have a lot of links to follow, and you can follow these two that I talked about, the framework, the privacy and the cybersecurity framework. And then now I'm going to talk to you about this essential starter kit. And I really like this website. So the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency leads the nation's strategic and unified work to strengthen the security, resilience, and workforce of the cyber ecosystem to protect critical services and the American way of life. And so their strategy here is have a cybersecurity strategy, develop security awareness. You guys are already getting aware of what's going on. You guys are attending classes. This is good. Now you have to go and put your plan in place. Protect your critical assets and applications. Again, ensure only those who need access have access. Make sure your data is backed up. Develop a crisis response. I'm going to stop sharing this website, and I want to take you to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency because they have so many cool documents that are very helpful. And I will have this on my resource. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute, and then I'm going to share. Where is it? I have to find it. Give me a minute. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Okay, can you see that? Leslie, can you see that?
Can see that. Can you hear me? Yes, I can see that.
Okay, so this is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And you can see this is an official website of the United States government. It's a federal government. They're trying to make us aware about cybersecurity. And so they've come together here. Like it says, cybersecurity criminals do not discriminate. But these documents here are so good, and they're tip sheets. I call them cheat sheets. But so I'll see if I can click this one, and it's malware. And can you see that? This is a malware tip card, and it talks about your adware, your botnets, ransomware. And you'll see that there's multiple pages. And what this agency has done is gone through and created so many documents for us that will help us. And so here's your phishing tip card. And so here's some tips. When in doubt, throw it out. Think before you act. Use stronger authentication. There you go. Make passwords long and strong. So you'll see that the agencies are out here trying to get us educated, trying to keep us safe. There's some best practices for creating a password. I didn't get so much off this website, but I just found these cheat sheets and I thought they would be very, very helpful for our clients that want to set up some kind of protection for themselves. So, okay. So this link will be on my resources. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go back to my presentation. And I want to thank you for being so patient with me. I don't know how many people have left. So this is that website I talked to you about. So from the NIST and CISA and other organizations, you will find readiness documents. The goal for your business should be to come up with a plan to make sure you have a cyber awareness essential kit in place. Each and every one will have different plans because not all businesses are the same. Also, if you are a small business and you think that they're not going to go after you, well, what if they do? Do you have a plan? You have heard of the ransom horror stories, data breaches, cyber attacks, and they are real. And you as a small business owner should be aware and come up with a plan to protect your small business. To protect your small business, your customers, your employees, and all your information. It is everybody's responsibility to keep our internet clean and safe and our own businesses. Today, I have exposed each terminology and resources where a small business can get information to help you get started protecting your small business. I recommend you put a simple plan. Start simple. Put it on a spreadsheet, put it in place, do some training, do backups, make sure your restore works, educate your employees and yourself on safe measures to protect your business. Educate everyone on being safe on the internet. Someone is out to get you. Okay. That concludes that. So I will have this resource page full of resources because there is so much information out on the internet. So now I am ready for Q&As. And I'm so sorry if I can't answer all the small little applications and a little.
Well, we have a question that's come in, and Sally says my Microsoft Hotmail/Outlook email was hacked. A company called Real Geeks Sapphire Services told me they could protect me if I paid them a fee. They said they're contractors of Microsoft. Are they legitimate? Should I close out my email account?
You should change your password. Change your password because that's the way they got in. They had your password. And so they probably were sending out emails and Microsoft doesn't do that. So to me, I would change my password. I don't think you need to change your Microsoft Hotmail account.
Yeah, and also I want to remind everyone that we do have the no-cost confidential counseling. I'd like to connect you with one of the local centers in your area. We have like 18 or 19 centers. So we have quite a few, and it's one-on-one counseling. So I'd like to send you that information. That way you can sit down and talk to a counselor in your local area. Next question is, do I need to remember passwords if I have them on Google to automatically allow entry to me?
I personally do not save my passwords using on Google or anything. I don't save them. That's not my practice. So I would have to remember my passwords. I'm one of those bad people that has a password book. And that's really terrible, but I have so many passwords and that's like so bad. You don't want your employees to do that. I know Eric Spillman talked about coming up with some kind of logic to remember your passwords. And I thought it was really good. Like he used a word and then he put a letter in, like, oh, what application he was using on and changed it. And so
Yeah, he was using phrases. So you had a phrase and then you did the first letter of the phrase. So it was a phrase that's like important to you, and was putting that in as a password reminder, which was kind of interesting.
And then Stephen Harris helped us answer that question, that it's not necessarily the password that's been hacked, that it was just they're phishing out there. So don't click on links, don't call that number. If you don't know anybody, don't call their number. And it's an unexpected email, get rid of it. You don't know who they are. Don't believe everything, every email that you get. And look at what the email address is, where it's coming from. And Microsoft doesn't have contractors that would probably do that. So it's phishing. Thank you, Harris. Oh my gosh, I hope you guys learned something on this. I hope it wasn't too geared towards big businesses, but the idea here is put a plan in place. These resources have ideas for you. Put a simple plan in place and make sure you educate your employees. And you yourself too have to be educated. The other day I got a phishing letter and I responded. I even clicked the link. Oh my gosh, I thought it was our retirement board. It came out of our IT department. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Steffi, you're so silly. That's so bad. So do we have any other questions?
Someone is in chat talking about, Eric said, don't use Word and dictionary for passwords. DocuSign is one not valid. So let me tell you also that we do have our on-demand pre-recorded. Steffi's presentation today will go up pre-recorded on demand. You'll also receive information from the presentation sent to you. But if you want to, if you don't know who Eric Spellman is, he's also one of our presenters, and he does have his webinars that we have. We also have them in the YouTube channel, and I'll sorry, I hit the mute button. I didn't mean to, but I'm going to put the YouTube link up into the chat, and you can catch that link, so you'll have the YouTube channel for all the webinars and stuff. So I'll do that right now. And I'm going to click my mute button again.
So I want to thank the New Mexico Small Business Development Center Network for providing us this venue to provide information to you. And I had my information up here. If you need to get a hold of me, feel free to. And if you have any information, if you need any information on intellectual property, also get a hold of me. I'm willing to meet with you and talk about your great idea.
Right. All right, Steffi, is that it? Or would you like to wrap up with any other words of wisdom at the end? No?
I think that's it. Thank you for attending. I do appreciate it. And we'll talk to you another time.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye.